So good morning, welcome back to another Out of the Bubble chat show, and today's interview is pre-recorded as today's guest is coming all the way from Brazil, and I didn't want her to have to get up ridiculously early, which she would have had to have done, so we're doing a Zoom recording interview instead. And yeah, I'm really excited to be able to catch up with Suzy Bastone because I haven't seen her for quite a few months. Suzy is a lifestyle coach, and I've had my own personal experiences of working with her, and I know that she's really helped me in just a few short sessions to kind of reevaluate and shift some of these barriers that I'd had in my head going on. So I can honestly recommend that everybody tries to find a mentor and a coach, no matter what age you are, because I think it can be so beneficial as we get older. So I am really looking forward to catching up with Suzy and finding out how she ended up being a coach, what her journey's been like, and how she's living her life now through the work that she's doing in helping others. So I am delighted to be joining Suzy Bastone, who, yay, hello Suzy.
Hello.
It's so lovely to see you.
I know it's been a while, and
Yes, it has.
thank you so much for having me. It's really lovely to come on and have a nice chat.
And as I said in my introduction, I didn't want you to have to get up ridiculously early, as you are in Brazil right now. So I didn't want you to kind of have to get up at 5:30 in the morning. So pre-recording is fine.
It's brilliant, and honestly, I would have done it, but when you mentioned that the fact that we didn't have to do it, I was like, oh,
yes,
actually, yeah,
that would work better.
You'll get more out of me, as I said to you before. So.
Yes. So for anybody that doesn't know who you are and what you're about, how would you describe yourself?
Oh, what a lovely question. I am primarily a coach. So that's what I do now, a confidence resilience coach. For 6 years now, I've been a coach. Previous to that, I was an actress, so I'm still an actress, for the past 20 years. So I work a lot of that in with my coaching because of my background and because of all the techniques and tricks you learn through confidence, the resilience building that you whether you realize it or not, that is happening whilst you're kind of within that industry. So yeah, all the knocks, the knockbacks, the comebacks, most importantly.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I kind of infiltrate that into my coaching now, and I work with many different clients from different backgrounds, which is lovely, on all different areas, actually, and all different subjects. However, confidence seems to be the underlying, issue is the right word. Underlying issue that people are facing to, either what's stopping them moving forward. So that as a niche, I have that as a niche, the confidence and resilience.
Brilliant. That's so weird because obviously you and I have worked together before. You've been a great coach for me. So it feels strange kind of asking you and interviewing you and asking questions. The tables are turned.
I'm not used to it either. I'm used to being the one to ask questions. Well, you know how the sessions go. And I'm usually the one just going, not being used to kind of going, blah, 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 blah. I'm getting used to it. It's good. It's good. I feel like I'm an actress again. It's good.
Good. Well, I strongly believe that everybody, no matter what age, should have some kind of coaching and mentoring in their life for whatever reasons or whatever kind of department of their life that they should try and find something. But how did you go from being so active in the acting world to then realizing that actually you really wanted to incorporate coaching as a career?
It was something weirdly my last big theatre job was Jersey Boys back in, when did I leave? 2010. And I'd been toying with the idea of leaving musical theatre. When I say leaving, you never really leave, but it's that, going, right, okay, I'm wanting to do more acting, wanting to do more plays, more straight stuff, TV. So I've been toying with that anyway. So I did, after Jersey Boys was finished, I thought, you know what, I'm going to just take a new little avenue here. And I've been very lucky for years in musical theatre to go into one job, into the next job. And so when this happened, the jobs weren't around, therefore the money wasn't around. I actually became a personal trainer. So I trained to become a personal trainer, which I'd always loved. And I'd been when I was younger through my theatre training anyway. And I absolutely loved working with people. I loved helping people, the challenges, this, that, and the other. But what I did notice quite quickly, as much as I love exercise and I love fitness and well-being and health and everything in that respect, I loved the motivational side of it more so. And the psychology behind why we do what we do. And so I had been through therapy in my own life, yet I was at a stage in my life where I was kind of done with therapy for my own personal reasons. And I was more of that kind of, right, I'm more of a forward thinker. And I went to, I think I was temping one day. And something came up, probably I was trawling Facebook or something. And something came up for the coaching academy, which is where I ended up training. And it just clicked. I just thought, you know what, this is just perfect. And I think there's lots of, the word coaching gets thrown around quite a lot, but in the purest sense, it's only actually been around for 15 years. So, and it's a language in itself. I mean, you know, it stands up, you know, like any life intervention, like therapy, counselling, consulting, or mentoring. It's a language all by itself, and an incredible one, through the fact that in the purest sense, there is no advice. So. And it's more about the insightful questions. It's more about the challenging questions. It's more about listening. And but also it's very goals orientated and forward thinking. So that was what happened for me. I just thought, okay, I've got this. This just feels right. I went along to they do a free weekend to find out what coaching is. Because as much as I thought I had an idea, like everyone calls themselves a coach these days, they coach in this, they coach in that. And you know, that's not necessarily the fault of the individual, you know, because we've always called, we have vocal coaches or acting coaches or soccer coaches, football, whatever. So it's a word we're comfortable with and word we're used to. Yet again, in the purest sense, it's a language all by itself. So anyone in the life sense calling themselves a coach, in my opinion, I do believe obviously there's a training that goes along with that, and a massive language with it, and then the intuition that can be added by the coach is obviously a massive added bonus, you know. But yeah, that was how I got there. That was and it just made sense. Absolutely made sense. Went to this 2-day weekend, and I thought this is just something that's meant to be for me.
What I really love is how you found your passion in acting and obviously the stage and theatre, and now you've also found another new passion that you're kind of combining together.
Yeah, it's very strange. I mean, I've been working with a lot of actors lately, actually, especially and directors through this isolation period, because of everything that's happening with theatre and obviously the close down, and freelancers in general, obviously people that are, you know, make their money by themselves, as you know.
Yes, I do.
You know, it's been so difficult. So I have, because of my background, I delve into that industry quite a bit. But I've been speaking with a few. So when I left theatre, it's that panic that your identity kind of feels like it leaves you, yet there's this anxiety that comes along of going, God, what am I going to do next? Or is there anything else that I'm going to love as much? And so this for me was just, I couldn't quite believe that I love it as much as I do. And I think once you find something like that, once you find any purpose, you know that it's something for you. If you nothing's going to stop you doing it. So I knew that quite early on. I was like, oh God, I haven't stopped it yet. I haven't given up on it. And that's when I knew. I was like, okay, this is something that's part of my life. And also I think, again, going back to the language that I learned throughout the coaching process, because obviously you have to be coached, you have mentors, the whole process of becoming a coach is actually coaching yourself as well. So it's you know, it's a very, very personal journey at the same time. one I'm always open for. I love personal growth and everything like that anyway. And so it was it was something that I just thought, this is meant to be. And I wanted to pass on, my main thing was also wanted to pass on that kind of that idea of how you can change your life to other people, through my own experiences, really.
I completely get that, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to set up the podcast, is because I'm sure there's lots of people that listen to them that have kind of dreams and aspirations, no matter how big or small, but it's big to them, that they're too scared to take that next step. And I thought, if people can share their stories, then listening to other people can give them the motivation to think, well, actually it is possible to change your life, but you've just got to change your thinking.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that from me obviously knowing your life, in as much as you shared with me, it's everything you do is so inspirational. And what I love is the fact that how you pass that on, you pass the mic on for someone else to kind of have a voice and have their say. And I think because I know you well enough to know that you're very inspiring woman yourself, but you also love inspiring people. So
yes, thank you.
Yeah, no, I do. How did you feel when? So I'm going into coaching.
Yeah, go on.
How did you feel through the coaching? Like through what, from your experience? Like, because
I found it really. It makes you stop and think, because we're all so busy going on with our lives and kind of trying to do the best we can on that day without, and even if we're forward planning, we don't really take the time for ourselves to stop and think about where we're at and what we want and how we're going to get there. And talking to you and talking through some of the issues that I have and the barriers that were in my head, it kind of makes you realise why you do certain things the way you do it. And then it was, okay, well, I've realised why I'm doing that now how do I change it?
Yeah.
And I think, like you've just said now, it's about a journey, isn't it? It doesn't mean to say that just because you've had coaching, then you stop. It's ongoing all the time.
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, it's the same thing. Like even when I, at the beginning of each session that I would have with a new client, and I know I said this to you, I was like, you hope that you don't need it weekly or monthly even, and there becomes a point, because we're wanting to raise our own awareness to be able to cope with whatever scenario it is with the different individual. But it's that kind of raising awareness. If someone asks you one question, then 10 other questions come out of it, and that's the amazing thing about kind of looking within, or however you want to call it, but and finding your own confidence with that, and being able to trust in yourself through that process as well.
Now that's something you have clearly shown recently, in that ability to trust yourself and making kind of life-changing decisions to move from London to go to Brazil. And how's that whole experience? Have you learned a lot about yourself doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think any change can, especially a big shift or a big change, is going to teach you something. Positive or negative, and there's always a positive in that, even if there's something, something doesn't turn out like we planned, or this, that, and the other. So my thoughts, my ideas of coming away, it was quite a last minute kind of sporadic thoughts I was having. I have a lovely flat in London, and I just thought, I'm free right now, and I need to just have space. I need to pause. For the first time in my life, I think I've done that, even since finishing theatre. Like, I have not stopped, and obviously previous to that I didn't stop. And that industry is just crazy, and I don't think I even realised what that industry does bring you, in terms of you're constantly fighting, you're constantly striving. And don't get me wrong, there's part of me that loves that game, that whole, when it's something you're wanting. But last year I just thought, I need a break. And when I say a break, I haven't really had one, because I carry on with my clients. It was wonderful because I can do that online. And that's what I thought. I thought, I talk all the time about setting your, aligning your values with your life path.
Mm.
And there I was just going, hang on a minute, I'm missing adventure in my life. I'm missing a slight freedom that actually I could give myself. So I asked all those lovely questions to myself. I kind of had a self-coaching moment and was like, what could you do? What is possible? And what would be the worst thing that could happen if you actually did this? And it's turned out wonderfully. I mean, it's, again, I don't know how long I will stay here. I might be popping back very soon. But what it's given me is that time, that pause, that space, that reflection time that I feel is so important for us all.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think anyone needs to leave the country and have a massive shift like I did to do this. We can do these things on a daily basis. But for me, I think I did need that big kind of change, that different scenery. I needed to shut off for a while from, not from people in general at all, but just have my own time. Different culture, different language, which has been a challenge. And I love a challenge. But yeah, so it's been wonderful. But it was that kind of I don't know, it was proving to myself lots of things as well, that I went, you know what, this is the time. This is, I'm 40 years old. I'm free. I can do this. There's nothing stopping me, and you can always come back. You can always change things again. So yeah, it's been a wonderful experience so far.
Good for you.
Served its purpose in many ways.
Brilliant. I mean, it's just, fantastic. I can't wait to hear more about it. What advice would you give to somebody then that's, because I talk to lots of women kind of that get to midlife that have gone through possibly bringing up children, so they've dedicated 20 years of their life to being the kind of centre of the family. Quite often they've supported men whilst they've been out working in a big career, and the women have taken a back seat sometimes, and then the kids leave. Like my youngest is going to university in September, and it's like, okay. And then they've got the time to start thinking, like you've just said, about, okay, who am I, what do I want to do in life? But what advice would you give to somebody that might be feeling overwhelmed by this situation, to just take that first step?
In that situation, I think to take a first step, I think you've got to come to a point in your life where you need to change something. There's something either happens to us that forces change, or a feeling that we're just not, something is missing, and that when that feeling becomes so big, there is nothing else other than for us to change. So I think it's important at those stages to when that thought comes up, that it's so pressing that we need to change something. I think it's getting past the fear stage of that period, isn't it? Because that's the only thing stopping us of going, oh my God, we're going to change. I know I have to change. But inevitably, it's going to happen, because the desire is there so much and the want is there. So I think it is just coming back to that. My advice in those situations would be, I can take myself, for example, say last year, for instance, it was so pressing. I just went, oh my God, this has got to happen. But I had to sit back, and I had to first focus on what my emotions were saying. I always like to sit back and ask myself, is this a whim on an emotion that I'm feeling right now? Let's sit on it for a day or two, come back to it, write all the pros and cons out, write it all out. I mean, I'm a big believer in kind of getting your emotions out somehow, whether that's talking to someone that you trust, or if you're more internal, like going within, either within meditation for some people, or for me, writing. I have to write everything out. So I think it's taking that pause, writing it down, leaving it, coming back, and seeing what stays, and seeing what kind of how you feel. And you've got to go with your heart eventually. And then it's just planning. I think it's just the planning of what to do next. What's the first step I need to do to make this change? And I think if we go quite slowly with thought processes, keeping our emotions intact at the time, I think that the only outcome is going to be what your heart is saying.
Yeah.
I know that sounds quite fluffy, but I think it's,
No,
you know,
it's really good advice.
the truth of it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Oh God, it's a pleasure. Sorry, off the top of my head.
No, that's really good. Well done. Thank you. So if people want to find out about you, how can they find out where your website is and everything?
So my website is, so it's www.SuzyBastone.com. And yeah, I've got obviously my information about what coaching is on there. A few little nice photos, you know, but mainly I'm kind of either on Facebook, Suzy Bastone Coaching, or my normal one is Suzy Bastone, or the same for Instagram. I'm on Instagram a lot these days. I think I'm half the age that I am. I don't know.
No,
Seems like a young
talk.
person's game, but I quite love it.
Yeah.
But no, so yeah, mostly Instagram or in any social media.
Brilliant. I'm loving your new photos that you did, by the way. And that was done. Was that done remotely then? So she was.
It was.
That's
Sharon,
so good.
oh, she's amazing. She's fantastic, and she's been a friend of mine. It's one of the websites that I write for. So it's called Soulful Life Club, and it's beautiful, like hub for women, and you know, different mindset things and entrepreneurial things that people write about there. But so yes, and we did a virtual shoot through FaceTime. It was nuts, but they fantastic.
Really good.
You know, and that's because we're going to do something together actually on confidence and, you know, stepping into all of that. So that's yeah, it was a lot of fun doing those. I haven't had a photo shoot for a while, so that was nice.
Really good results. And let's ask you as well, one thing I was going to ask you is there a kind of average age, or do you coach all different ages, or do you find there's one particular age group that works the most on coaching?
Coaching goes across the board. I mean, there's people that specialize obviously in different, like people specialize in coaching children, for instance, or I have worked with all different types of ages so far in my career to this point. I am finding more that I think I put a post on Instagram the other week of finding your third. So it's almost like, you know, like any of us that are kind of, you know, putting ourselves out there or trying to business wise or for whatever other reasons, that you will attract the people that are attracted to you in a sense that who, I mean, I don't do many lives. I really am going to be doing more. I'm going to coach myself into that one. Yeah, but it's just kind of I think so. Generally, for me personally, it's becoming more women. I've coached lots of men, and I massively enjoy that. Actually, it's a different dynamic, of course. But at the end of the day, it comes down to human emotion. So for me, it's I have had a wide variety. Yet I guess I've got either end of my own age, if I'm honest. So majority like 30, and then 50 upwards. It's you know, kind of a really nice demographic for me right now.
Good.
In that sense. So, but it comes down to who trusts you at the end of the day, and you know, having a lovely professional working relationship is different to a friendship, you know. So
well, it's just been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. Thank you
lovely.
so much. And I just enjoy it. How have you found it? Is it really nice and sunny there now?
It's lovely and sunny. Do you know, it's their winter now, and it's like 27 degrees, and this is actually perfect for me. I'm not the 40-degree person, although if I'm not in a Bikram room, I don't want to be sweating that much. But yeah, so no, it's lovely. And do you know what? I've made the most of it. I'm missing home so much, obviously missing people, but I've got the lake right there with the Christ Redeemer right on top of it. Wow. And I've got the beach right there. So you know what? I can't complain. And I'm, you know, trying to make the most of everything. And I've built more in the last 3 months, business-wise, I think, and client-wise, and obviously doing my own writing as well, which is why another massive reason why I came over here. So found it all right. I can't.
Good.
Not complaining.
Well, go and enjoy the rest of your day. Take care of yourself. Thank you so much.
So much. Lovely.
Sending lots of love.
Big love back.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye, Rachel.
Bye. Thank you.